Okay, Jeff, can you hear me?
I got you. Yes.
Okay. All right. You're making you the host, and I got to go.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So you're not going to be here at all today?
No, I can't.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Bye.
All right. You're the host. See you later.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Okay.
We can hardly see your face, Jeff. You need more lighting on you. There you go.
Better?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, Joe. Welcome back.
Hello.
Kathy, this is my cell phone. This is Tim. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Tim. Hang on. I'm going to try and change.
Okay, just one.
Jerry, mute yourself.
Okay, still letting people in, so hang on, guys.
Somebody's RVing.
All right.
Yeah,
Hey,
he's
everyone.
camping.
All right, welcome everybody. I'm sure we'll get a few more stragglers as we go. As you can see, I am up in Montana right now. So,
Lucky guy.
yeah, been beautiful. All right, so we're going to go over the rest of the rule book today. We have a few other things to go over before we get into the rules. I know I've been getting a few questions about the modules and about the study guide. So for the modules, some people are having, once you take your module, some people have just been sending you a link rather than downloading the certificate. So you have to go to your achievements in there, open them up and find the certificate for that particular course that you took. And then you can either download it. There's a download arrow. You could download it and then send it as an attachment to me. Or if you have the ability, you can do a screenshot of it and send it as an attachment to me. Either way, okay? So that's how you do it, because a few people have been sending me the link, like they'll copy and paste the link out of the top and send me the link, but when I open the link, I get nothing because I'm not logged in. That's you logged in. That's your personal login when you send me that link. Okay. Marianne, or who? Marianne, and is Kathy here?
Yep.
Okay. Marianne, I know is here. Oh, there's Kathy. Okay. You guys are taking roll, right?
Hopefully.
We got we got about 3 people on the phone.
Yeah, I have actually Tressa and Zach are together, right? Okay. And then can you change iPhone to the left is Steve D'Ambrosio.
Gotta give me a, let me see.
Tim Mays was on his iPhone. Did you get the change
No,
for?
Tim is on his phone. It's a phone number for him, but I need
Yeah,
Steve
mine's on phone. 805-886-0131.
just so people can acknowledge who's there.
Kathy, is mine should be Steve's iPhone, right?
Yep. And we're just going to change it so people have a name for you.
Okay. Whose phone number ends in 1369?
Yeah.
Kathy.
Shay.
Lisa is on her daughter's thing, Nevada. So Elisa Knowles.
Yep.
Yeah, hang
Nevada.
on.
Got it.
I'm trying to, there's two phone numbers in here I'm trying to fix. 805-540, 404-1369. Who is that?
We had them last week. Who were they?
Hello? Hi.
Who are you?
Who's this 1369?
Oh, they didn't say anything.
They unmuted though.
They did, and they hung up.
Call them.
All right, we'll figure that one out in a minute. How about 5779, last four? Whose phone is that?
Oh, they moved up to the front.
All right, we'll have to figure it out later.
404-1369 is still on the line. Can you please identify yourself? Finley is 1369. David Finley.
They may not know how to unmute. It's *6.
All right, 1369 is Dave Finley's phone, and he's also on the other thing.
All right, so he's on what other? He's on
1369.
Let you guys know about 7:30. I'll be driving. I'll be changing over to my phone.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
And what about 252-5779? Who is that?
Is that Egan?
You could put that in the chat too. I don't know if you could chat.
Let me check his phone.
Here, I'll check.
$57.79. That's Egan.
If they're on their phone, they're not going to see it in the chat.
Okay, that's Egan.
I think so.
Yeah,
5779 is Egan.
Okay.
There's no sense in putting it in the chat if they're on the phone.
Okay.
Yep. Got it. Okay. There we go. All right. Any questions? Any questions on the modules at this point that I haven't addressed that people are having issues with? Okay. All right, now let's go on to the study guide. As I said before, as I talked about last week, we're trying to get study guides corrected to 100%. I know it's a little bit of a pain. So this is what I'm going to do. If you get, if you have more than 100, there's 105 questions. If you miss less than 5 questions or less, and you would like, what you can do is just send me an email with the numbers of the 5 questions you missed, like number 79, answer is, and send me the correct answer, and I will accept it. I'd like to do it that way. If you got less than, if you're under 100, that's getting to be too many for me to go through and check. If less than 100, you're gonna have to go back and redo the test with the corrected answers again. So remember, you want to download your answer sheet with the question. Do I need to show people how to do that again? How to get the answer sheet that shows which ones you got right and which ones you got wrong?
You might.
I can figure that out.
Let me do a screen share, and we will. Hold on, sorry. So you go to you get into your account, go here, go to official login. This is here. Go to Instructional Corner. Once you're in Instructional Corner, go to Online Testing. Like I said last week, this is my study guide. I got a whopping 18% because what I did was put in answer A. So I view my results, and here is my answer sheet, okay? So here is my answer sheet. It shows all the reds, everything in red I got wrong, everything in white I got correct. So again, either download this, or if you had to, copy it onto a sheet of paper so that you know that when you go back and you don't change answer 3, you don't change this to B by mistake and then get another one wrong. So you go through and you correct them all, and it will show your answers. Okay, questions? Excellent, thank you. Okay. And when you take your test, I get an email from the admin saying, you know, Jerry Burns took his test. He got 98% and 101 questions correct. 101 out of 105 questions correct is what it shows me. So I know how many questions you've missed, being that it gives me that information. So again, if it was Jerry, if you only had 4 questions and you want to send me a quick email, Jeff, these are the questions I missed on my exam. I missed number 7, I missed number 12, I missed number 79. And give me the correct answers, I will accept that as a corrected test to us.
Jeff,
yes.
It's Larry again. I just did that, and mine shows, it doesn't show whether, I mean, I know it doesn't show wrong answer at all, wrong answers at all.
When you went to your,
I've had somebody else tell me it didn't highlight any of the wrong answers.
Yeah, I have view print results. Okay, so view results, and all it does is show what I put down.
It doesn't show this. Like, can you see mine? Can you see different colored answers?
Yeah, I've had somebody else call me today on that
mine,
too, and it didn't.
I have the same. Yeah, it doesn't show any difference at all.
Yeah, Jeff, I did the same thing, and it just showed my answers, not wrong or right answers.
And it's not doing what I'm seeing here. What you're seeing on my screen. It's not
no,
absolutely not.
It was the test with the answer to the left.
All right, we'll make it easy. Everybody just call me, and I will go over the answers with you. How's that?
Well, no, Marianne, it's
I like that.
But yeah, but I got the one.
So you had no way, Jerry or Larry, of knowing which were correct and which were not.
Yeah, and you know what my score was. Oh, I got to find the one.
Because you only missed one, right?
Right.
Where's Marla? Marla, can you unmute?
Yeah. What's up?
Marla, I noticed, because I know you went through and you redid your test. What about you? How were you able to know which ones you got wrong and which ones you got right?
Because my screen looks exactly like yours.
So your screen...
It doesn't anymore then. Today it does not.
I did last night. And I hit save to start because I did over 4 or 5 hours playing around with the questions. And then at the end, I hit save and I made a call.
So,
Jeff, I see it now. I hit view results and I see just my answers.
Right. Okay. And it's similar to mine. It shows which are correct and which are incorrect.
Yes. No, it just shows my answer.
Your answers.
Right.
Meaning
nothing highlighted.
Whatever I put down on the test, and I got like an 89. So
okay. So it doesn't show which is wrong and which is right. All right.
Let me. No. You know what? 1, 2.
I'm only gonna.
Jeff.
My bad. Jeff, my bad. It does. It's shaded like yours.
Okay.
They have to go in and punch view results.
Right. And those are the wrong. Those are the wrong answers that are shaded, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, I'm good.
The red is wrong and the white is correct. If there's not shaded, it is correct.
Got it. I'm good.
Okay.
Jeff, it still doesn't. I mean, I've got this on my iPad, which is completely connected. Plus, I've got the computer here.
Right.
It only shows the answers that I have, and I've of course printed those, and I also have a saved document on them. But there's no way I know.
Julian, you missed one, right?
What?
Larry, you missed one answer, as I recall. Let's see.
Yes.
On your missed one. So, all right. Don't worry about yours, Larry. We'll figure that out.
Okay. Sorry to be such a pain.
That's okay. Just guys, email me if you cannot. When you hit this view results under the answer sheet, if you cannot figure out if it's not highlighting your answer, email me that and let me know that it's not highlighting your answers. Okay.
Okay, Jeff, this is Victor.
Tony Chan, are you here?
I'm here.
Did you want to talk to the membership about assignments and calendar and all of that good stuff?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Hopefully everybody got the email that I sent out earlier this morning. When we reset the availability for July, we defaulted everybody to available. So the tournament, we have the Oxnard event and the Westlake stuff going on in the end of this month, right? The last week of July. So I need you guys to go in and make sure that you're updating your availability for July, the end of July, as well as the rest of the season. We also, by defaulted August through the end of the season, November, as unavailable. So if you don't go in and mark the days you're available, I can't assign you games. So please go in and update your availability for both of those months. Okay.
So Tony, what you're saying is right now they need to go into July and uncheck the days that they are not available. And then in August, check the days that they're available.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah. Okay. August. Is that only for August?
What was that, Jerry?
No, August through the end of the season.
Okay. So I could, if I do the month of August, because there were some scrimmages in early August, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I could make myself available for the stuff at the beginning of the season. Obviously, the season doesn't start until August the 14th.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. And okay, that sounds great. So I could go from all of July and up to the 14th and stop right there. Is that correct? Or
yeah.
Do all of August, all of September, October, November, December?
No, you can. The nice part is you guys can go in and update this availability every day if you need to, and I'll get that information with every update that you do. And answer, Roy, I think you put in the chat here about when we're going to be assigning the season and how many weeks we'll be doing at a time. I actually hope to try and get, well, once I get through the end of July, to tell you the truth, there are a lot of schools that have not put their schedules in yet. So it's going to be hard for me to assign all the schools when the schools haven't even given me their schedules. So I'll start bugging them to get their schedules in. The schools that already have their schedules in, I can start working on those. Although I think that the agreement that we have is that it's 2 weeks at a time, generally. And I like to put them out 2 weeks before the 2 weeks, if that makes sense. So that gives you a time to go in and accept or unaccept. And that gives me time then to reschedule if people are unavailable. It's real important though, if you guys make sure your availability is up to date, then I don't have to worry about rescheduling. And don't get me wrong, I know that things come up. I understand people have jobs, they have families, they have other commitments. I'm not gonna hold that against you if you have to turn something back. Just be honest with me, let me know as soon as you can if something happens. you know, I'll be glad to try and swap it out for you. But, you know, don't do me a favor, just like any other assigner at any other level, don't be double booking on me and then decide, oh, well, I'm going to take the better one. You know, if you have a better opportunity, just tell me, hey, I need to get off this match because I got an opportunity to do, you know, whatever. That's fine. I just need to know as soon as possible and just be honest with me. And I'll be glad to swap you out because things happen. I get it. You know, we want to make sure that everybody has a work-life refereeing balance. So, okay. So don't be afraid to reach out to me if you have changes that you need to make. But please do, I ask that you do make sure your availability is up to date, especially if I'm only doing 2 weeks at a time. The more up to date your schedule is on the website, the easier it is for me to assign you. And I do know that I think Marianne and Kathy, you guys were going to talk about the Oxnard and the Westlake events, right?
Right.
Okay, I'll let you guys talk about that. And then I know that, is Stratton here?
No.
Okay, he was going to talk about, he mentioned that he is going to be placing an order for shirts.
Yes.
You know, the blue, the white, and the gray shirts that we can now wear. He is going to plan on doing a big bulk order. So, you know, get in touch with him, let him know sizes and colors of shirts, sleeve length, that kind of thing, because they do come in long and short sleeve. You know, what you guys are interested in, so he can try and put all this together and get a quote and, you know, order for everybody.
He needs to order by the 15th. Is that today? No,
tomorrow.
By tomorrow. So he needs to know by tomorrow, guys.
It's awful quick. So
it is.
Yeah. Well, he sent out something a little while ago, so this is actually just a second reminder.
Yep.
Okay.
Tony, a quick question.
Yes.
You said you're going to do 2 weeks at a time. Is that by your choice, or is that because of that's kind of been what the tradition has been?
Well, typically I actually do the whole season in advance. Typically, but that's for collegiate and that's for collegiate sand and some of the other levels. Typically for high school, we've been doing it 2 to 3 weeks at a time. I don't have a problem doing it more, you know, and the board, if we want to talk about that, and I think the board, I think that it's a minimum of 2 weeks at a time. But I have no problem doing a month at a time, quite honestly, if you ask me, but we can figure that out. I don't have a set.
All right, then let's table that for a board talk talk with the board.
Sure.
Okay. And everybody, I got my calendar. I just shared what the availability looks like on my calendar. So when you are available, you know, go ahead and make the check. The blue check means you are available. No check means you're not available. So, okay. All right. Marianne, Kathy, do you want to
question before you move on?
Yeah, there's
Can I ask a quick question before you move on?
Yeah, I see that there's
you guys, you had just said that Robert had sent out an email regarding ordering shirts.
Yeah.
What date did that go out? Because I don't seem to have that email.
He may have sent it to the newer people.
Okay. Okay, then. Thank you.
And I know that, Alyssa, can you hear me? Yeah, you're on mute. I can see. I can see somebody. Yeah. I can see you talking.
Yeah. No. I was asking Zach. He didn't get anything, and I haven't gotten anything from Robert. And I ordered shirts this morning for us through that website. So I mean, but we can always use more, you know. So, but I never got anything. I'm looking right now. I haven't gotten anything from Robert for the shirts, and Zach hasn't either. Nope.
He sent it out probably 2 weeks ago.
I would have purchased some had I got the email, but I never received one.
Yeah. I don't think he sent it out to everybody in the unit, Marla. I think he sent it out to the
a couple of weeks ago. Okay, it's probably
a couple of weeks ago to the new people, and said that it says something. It might be in with another email that he sent out, not something saying shirts and headed that way, but it was in that email saying, get this done. I'm not working on my birthday, which is the 16th, so I need it by the 15th. If that helps ring a bell on the email that he sent out.
Okay. Oh, I'll take a look. We'll shoot them a text or an email.
Well,
Right
no
after
problem. If
this.
you want another shirt, let them know. If not, I mean, if you ordered it today, you can see if you can cancel it and put it with his, or not worry about it.
It's okay. Yeah. Yeah, we'll shoot them. I only ordered myself one, and I ordered Zach too. So
okay,
that's fine.
Well then, yeah.
Okay, because I'm not going to need one right away, anyways, for me. So.
Okay, Andre.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Teresa, sorry.
Okay, Marianne and Kathy, do you have to talk about?
Marianne, go ahead and go first.
Okay, we have tournaments that are coming up here that we need to have bodies to cover. We have Westlake that will be going on the 26th of this month through the 29th. So it's Monday through Thursday. I need to have a minimum of 4 people on each court. And at least one person roaming around as a lead official besides myself. Robert sent out today a Google Doc form that you can fill in and send back, so that way we know what days and hours you're willing to fill in. It is a 4-hour time slot, so if you could commit to at least 1 full day, if not 2, that would be awesome. And then that way you're completely done. And then Oxnard, Kathy will talk about, but so that's what I need over at Westlake. So, and that's going to be available to all officials, newer officials. We're going to put you down doing lines to get you familiar with the game and then move you around. So you'll be there more, but we have a tournament that's especially just for you guys later in August. All right, Kat.
So really fast, the Oxnard tournament is a higher end tournament. It's going to be more of an invitation for C3 and higher. This is for the purpose of observations and evaluations. We're trying to get our unit up to date. There are many officials, including C1s, that have either not been observed in the last 10 years or longer. It is your Sunday best. It is the best 3 out of 5 match. Typically on observations, you'll work as an R2 and then you'll also work as an R1. You'll probably be paired with different partners that aren't necessarily the same skill set. There are 2 gyms at Oxnard. There's the big gym and the small gym will be going simultaneously. It's only for 2 days. It's 9, 11, 1, 3, 5, and 7 are the time frames.
Is it in 9, 11?
9, 11, 1, 3, 5, and 7.
Yeah.
Because the tournaments and the scrimmages with Westlake are running simultaneously.
Just one.
We are open if people want to put in more time. We would love to have line judges, but really want to make sure that Westlake is covered and everyone has had the opportunity to be observed at this tournament. So if you want and have time or free time, whatever, and would like to work as a line judge and we're not shorting Westlake, I would love to have you.
Okay, and as she means your Sunday best, it is in full uniform.
No shorts?
What was that, Jerry?
No shorts?
No shorts.
Okay.
No shorts.
Kathy, you say by invitation.
I have a question. Teams have at Oxnard, will the teams have numbers on their jerseys, or will they be in teams or whatever?
I can't quite hear you, Jerry. So what I was going to say is I need 4 officials for each hour time slot. So what I'm asking anyone that is a C3 and higher that would like to participate in this tournament to sign yourself up as available. Yes.
Okay, Kathy, what Jerry asked was, will the players have numbers on their uniforms at Oxnard, or
so
yes, the girls will be in
yes.
It is a tip. It's going to be as a match that you would play in high school. They're going to have a 20-minute clock. You're going to do all the protocol that you would do. as if you went into a game. So they do a 20-minute clock. They all are in uniform. All the rules apply. That's why we're in full uniform.
That's what.
And it's a 3 out of 5 match.
Except for one thing. Usually there's probably a school or two that somehow they get messed up and they don't come with numbers.
I couldn't hear him.
Jerry, you're mumbling.
He's saying some teams come with uniforms that don't have numbers.
Correct. We will make do
I
with
remember,
that.
but yeah. Not at this tournament. Westlake, yes. Oxnard, usually not.
Without being an absolute pain.
Roy, you haven't gone to.
What the heck? That's partially not true. I've worked that tournament a number of years.
Yes.
And some of the teams don't come.
Correct. They don't have their school uniforms that come in there in their practice shirts.
They come with numbers.
So what we will do is we'll work that out. We'll probably assign a number on the roster for the player. They will have rosters and lineups.
Kathy, this is Dick. Where do we sign up? Just send you an email or what?
You can do that as well as go online. I'm going to be giving a list to Tony of all the names that are applicable for the tournament. If you're not a C3 or higher and you wish to be evaluated or observed, maybe a crossover or someone that's new that has quite a bit of experience, but we haven't seen you yet, please send me an email and I'll work with that.
All right, are we good with that?
Go to the website. Oh, really fast, I want to say, so this morning, I have about 30 names of people who have not gone on to the website and completed your independent contractor evaluation. That means you have not logged in. So once you log in, you must complete your independent contractor. It sends me a notification that you've done so. I actually have about 10 that I need to capture. Please, if you have not gone onto the website, do that and complete your availability tonight. That's it.
Okay. Marianne, you good? I can move on?
Yeah, Tony, I'll send you the link that was sent to me by Robert for the sign-up sheets for everyone.
Okay, last call for questions that do not involve instruction or rules. Excellent. Okay, this is what we're gonna try, guys. I want to make 2 groups tonight. I want to make groups of one group that will be the first and second year officials, which will go with Marianne, and everybody else with me, Alyssa and Josh. I want you to stay with the veteran group, with the other group, not Marianne's group. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to try this. I'm creating 2 breakout rooms. And I'm going to let you choose which room because it'll be easier that way. So if you are if you're a first or a second year official, basically Michael, Diego, Zach, Tressa, Lori, Ken, Randy, Caleb, Brian, Slater, Kevin, Shay, and Peter, and Marianne, you are going to go into room 1. So you choose break room 1 when it gives you the option. Everyone else needs to choose room 2. Okay?
Room 2, okay.
So everybody else chooses room 2 except the new one. Melissa and Josh, I want you to also choose room 2. If this does not work, I haven't done it this way before. If this does not work, I will end the breakout rooms, and what that will do is that will send everybody back. Okay, so if we have an issue and there's something that doesn't work, I will send everybody back. Okay, let's see. Let's try it.
Although, Jeff, real quick.
Yes.
I don't have the rule book like you do up here. So
Okay.
If my people don't have the rule book, how am I supposed to go over it with them?
Well, then we can all stay, or you would have to go.
Stay.
Want to just stay as a group?
We might have to, because I don't think any of them have gotten their books. I only had two people who had them on Monday. I'm not quite sure all of them have gotten it by now. So
Let me close all the
And I'm going to have them again on Monday, so I'll go over other things with them on Monday.
All right, I pulled them back. I'm pulling everybody back. All right, take 60 seconds to close the rooms. We'll be back all together here in just a second, and I'll start. Roy, are you with us? Yeah, Roy's back. All right. Okay, we're just going to go through it as a group. We decided not to do the rooms, primarily because, Marianne, we didn't have the book like I do for this second.
Can we get everybody to mute themselves?
Yep.
There's a lot of feedback, guys.
So everybody mute. And you can ask questions in chat, or I will stop periodically and ask for questions. And that will be a time when you can unmute and do questions that way. Okay. All right. Continuing with Rule 6. We're starting with Rule 6 tonight. The team compositions and positions. Obviously, you need to have 6 players to start a match. Okay. If they cannot begin the match with 6 players, they don't have 6 eligible players, they cannot forfeit, they cannot begin the match. Again, who's not muted?
It sounds like Jerry. Are you able to mute him?
I can. I gotta find. Hang on. I gotta find where it is. Hold on.
Sir, don't you wish I had an audience with the president today? Of course I do. And you can come happy to you down.
Oh, it's Victor, I think. There we go. It was Victor. Gotcha, Victor. You're muted, Victor. You're good. Okay. All right. Back to this. Okay. So team composition. You must have 6 players to start a match. Otherwise, it will be a forfeit. However, if a player is injured or ill or disqualified, they may continue the match. So I've had this happen one time where they had an injured player, so they started the match with that injured player on the floor, but then after a couple of serves, they took her out saying she was too injured to play, and we continued the match. That's happened one time in my career in that respect, where they only had 6 and they wanted to start the game and play with 5. I have had 1 or 2 other times where I've had a disqualification or an injury, and sometime during the match, we've had to move to 5. Just remember, if you do have to play with less than 6 players, every time that open position comes to the serving position, it is a loss of serve. Okay, it's a point for the other team. And also, when that position, let's say it was position 3, that's missing, when that position comes to the front row, they can only have 2 front row players. The other 3 players must act as back row players. Okay. You must have a playing captain designated by each team. This is the only player who can communicate with you, the referees. Okay. If that player is replaced, the coach shall designate a player as captain in his stead. Okay. Until that substitute returns. A libero may be the captain. However, you need to have when the libero is off the court, you need to have a replacement for him. Okay. All right. Player positions. We're going to be going over this a little later with positions, but we have right front, right back, right center front, left front, left back, and center back. Okay. Hang on a sec. Sorry, I got to admit somebody. All right, there we go. All right. okay, your playing captain can request the following timeouts, verification of timeouts used, and verification of the serving order along with the coach. The captain has a few things that he can do that other players cannot, okay? Let's talk about the libero. The libero is a back row player who is a defensive specialist. Only one libero may be designated per set. This is different than USA, where you can have now two liberos designated, but only one can be on the court at a time. But that's regardless for us. For high school volleyball, only one libero is designated. That libero may change from set to set. So number 5 can be the libero in set 1. Number 7 can be the libero in set 2. Okay, not a problem as long as they put it on the score sheet or the lineup card or lineup sheet when they turn it in. Okay. The libero has to be designated on the lineup sheet prior to each set as the R2. Please make sure you're looking for this. Sometimes this is something the coaches forget. So if they used a libero in set 1 and there's none on there for set 2, go and ask them, coach, are you using a libero this game? And then get that on there, okay? Let's see. Libero may be the team captain. We already said that. The libero may be used as an exceptional substitution for an injured player if no other legal substitutes are available. So if you have playing with 7, including the libero, and 1 gets injured, you may redesignate the libero as a regular player. They must obviously change their jersey, but they can come in as a regular player in that situation if there are no other legal subs available. Disqualified cannot replace a disqualified teammate, however, okay? Shall be allowed to serve in 1 position in the serving order. So that's important that they only serve in 1. So if the libero is going in for the middles, they can only serve for 1 middle, not for both middles. That has happened at the college level. I've had that happen where the libero has tried to serve or they got confused and served in 2 different spots. Okay. All right. At the moment of serve, sorry, hang on a sec. Okay, at the moment of serve, all players except the server shall be within the team's playing court and may be in contact with the boundary lines or center lines, but not over. In other words, you can be on the line, but not over the line. So if you're touching outside the floor, outside the line, that is an out of rotation violation. If they're touching the line, but not over it, that's okay as long as they're in the right positions. We will be going over positions later. I have a video that we're going to go through positioning and alignment later. All players have to be in the correct serving order. 1 foot is kind of what I was talking about, both feet in the center. We'll talk about this too. I'm gonna go through this, and it's at contact of serve we're talking. I'll go through this Article 3 in the video I have in a little while, or the PowerPoint I have in a little while. We'll talk more intensely about that. Article 5 we already talked about. They may play with less than 5. Okay. Okay, so if a team gets into where they're not sure who's serving next, they can request a serving order, or they don't even know it may even be that they don't know who's serving next, but they're having confused on their positions. The coach or the captain may request a serving order check while the ball is dead, okay? If, as a matter of preventative officiating, when I've had a coach like come up to me and is confused about, and normally this will be a lower level game, but when they're confused about, wait, is this person in the right? I mean, I've had them as they are too. They come up to me, goes, is that he in the right position, or am I supposed to be there? I simply say, Coach, are you requesting a lineup check or a service order check? So that way I'm preventing having to make a call for out of alignment by doing that when the coach is confused, okay, in that situation. And again, we're mostly talking lower level, not varsity level. Okay, and you will get a lot of this at the freshman and JV level where the players will be out of order and not in the correct serving order. Okay. Screening, I've called maybe 5 screens in 30 years. It's not a call that is often done, but it does if the serving team lines up in such a manner that they are screening or making it difficult for the receiving team to see the served ball. There is a penalty you may call for that. There are requirements. The ball has to be flat, not high. If it has a big arc, that negates the screen. Okay, so if it's flat over the top and you have your front three players all standing very close together, making a wall, hands up, and it's preventing the other team from seeing it clearly, that could be considered a screen. All right, any questions on anything so far? All right, moving on. All right, roster and lineup. Changes to the roster can be made, can be made up until 10 minutes prior to the game. So they can change their roster up to 10 minutes. I always like to get the roster and check off the numbers with the players on the floor so I know we have an accurate roster. Prevents problems later on. If a player is to come into the game and your scorekeeper calls you over and goes, wait a minute, number 7 is not listed on the roster. Okay, so that's again a type of preventative officiating. Any teammate designated as libero in the match may be listed on the roster with 2 numbers. So if you see number 5 and number 7, that's going to indicate it's the libero. The 5 should be their regular playing jersey. The second number should be their libero jersey. Here's an example right here, 15/L4. Okay, so here's an example of how that should look on the roster. Okay, again, not a huge thing, but good for preventative officiating. Failure to list on the no, okay. Lineup. Now the lineup is different. Obviously, the lineup is what they're going to submit 2 minutes prior to the start of the game, or the end of the pre-match warm-up, I should say. So they have to submit their lineup to the second referee, which will list the uniform number, the 6 starting players in proper serving order. So we use the listing it from top to bottom. Okay, we don't use the like the USA where they'll turn in and it'll be in court position. We use top to bottom as a list. So that's how you want your lineup to look. And I believe when I do later on, I'll show you, I have a lineup that I'll be able to show you in the PowerPoint presentation. All right. Again, only 1 libero per set. We talked about that. Okay. So it's 2 minutes for the lineup. It's 2 minutes before the match or before the end of the time to warm up. And then between sets, it is with 1, they have to have their lineup in 1 minute before the next set is ready to begin, or 1 minute left on the clock. Okay. All right, so here's a few issues that always come up. These are very common. A team submits a lineup and lists a number that no team member is wearing. Okay, so they put number 30, but they don't have a 30. The coach meant to put number 3. Okay, what we are doing is we are charging them a substitute to put the number that they want, the legal number that they want, into that position. Okay, so it costs them a sub if they put a number on the lineup, on the lineup sheet, but that number does not exist. Okay. If it's the libero number, we're allowing them to change it. Okay, if they put an incorrect libero number, or if they put a number down for the libero that's not there, we're going to allow them to change it. No penalty, since obviously we don't charge substitutions for liberos. Okay. If a lineup is submitted with a player's number duplicated in more than 1 starting position, guarantee this will happen, and it's happened probably to most of us. The error shall be corrected by revising the submitted lineup in one of 2 ways to ensure 6 unique legal playing numbers to start the set. Change the listed libero with a duplicate number to a different legal number. So that's if the libero is involved. 2, use a substitute to change the starting player to a different legal number into that position. Okay, so again, if he listed number 3 on the lineup in 2 different spots, but he wanted number 9, just use a substitute, put in number 9 in the correct position. Any questions? Thank you. Okay, remember we are now, rule change, we are now, if for a late roster, we are using an unnecessary delay, okay, as the penalty. So it's an administrative yellow card. And again, with all administrative yellow cards, it does not carry over and it does not affect the coach and his ability to stand for the game, okay?
Question.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry, you didn't ask it. But what I'm looking at is for a lineup.
Okay, go ahead.
Not a roster. I think you just misspoke there. Or am I incorrect?
For what are we talking, for which are we talking about? The unnecessary delay?
Yeah.
Oh, did I say roster? I meant, you are correct. I meant lineup.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Okay, yes, that we were talking lineup here, not roster, okay? And that's the same thing here. It's just 1 minute rather than that we're talking between sets here. We were talking pregame in the other one. So if a lineup has not been submitted by the end of the timed interval or omission when used, a subsequent unnecessary delay shall be assessed to the offending team. So if you've assessed the first one and they're still not getting it to you or refusing to get it to you, then we're going to move on to a red card. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Moving on. All right. Talking about the serve. Okay. Service contact of the ball. Shall hit the ball with one hand, fist, or arm where the ball is held or after it is released. Okay. This is a different than USA rule. In USA, I believe you are right, Marianne, you are not allowed to hit the ball from the hand. Is that correct in USA?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so in high school, however, they may hold the ball in their hand and they may do an underhand serve where they're just hitting it right out of their hand, not a penalty in high school, okay? This is just a little bit of a pet peeve of mine that I highlighted. They must be within the line, the edges of the court when they are serving. They have the whole back line to serve. They cannot be on outside the sideline, have contact with the floor outside of the sideline when they contact the serve. That is a fault. That is like stepping on the service line. Okay, that's like stepping on the line and having a foot fault. So they must be within the two sidelines when they contact the ball. Okay. And obviously we know a server, if they're jump serving, as long as they leave behind the back line, the end line, contact the ball in the air, they may land anywhere on the court, not a problem. Okay. A player's term of service begin when the player assumes the right back position, and their term of service ends when a loss of rally is awarded, or here's the other exception, or a substitution for that server is made prior to the end of that term of service. Okay, so if number 6 goes back and serves 3 times, coach puts in a sub, now puts in number 9 for number 6. Number 9 assumes the serving, and they are considered, it's sort of considered a new term of service. The reason I'm telling you this is because if the first person, number 6, had thrown up the ball and didn't like it, let it drop, and they got their reserve, that's their one reserve. They serve the ball 2 more times, then the substitute comes in. That substitute now may also have 1 bad toss. So they throw up the ball, they don't like it, they get a reserve as well. So they can get 2 reserves in that same term of service or that same rotation spot if they were to substitute. But if number 6, if they don't substitute, you only get 1 reserve. So if I throw up the ball, don't like it, I get a reserve. I serve 2 more. Now I throw it up, I don't like it again. Ball bounces, I don't serve it. Now we have a loss of rally, point to the other team. Okay. A reserve shall be called when they toss it and they either catch it or it drops to the floor without making an attempt to serve the ball. Okay. They are allowed a new 5 seconds for a reserve. Remember, nothing may happen during a reserve. No substitutions, no liberos, nothing can happen because a reserve is like just a new attempt. So they don't, no timeouts, nothing along those lines, okay? Remember, if a tossed ball contacts a backboard or it supports, hanging in a vertical position, that becomes an illegal serve, not eligible for a reserve. So don't give them a reserve if they throw it up and it hits the backboard of them and then falls to the ground. They do not get a reserve in that respect. Questions?
Hello. On the serving between the pins, or the extension, the sideline extension lines.
Correct.
On a jump serve, the last contact has, for a jump serve, let's say they're starting, to the side, outside the boundary line, and they make their approach and they jump, but their last contact was not fully inside the pin or the.
It's an illegal serve, John. I got if I jump from outside the sideline and I hit the ball, doesn't matter where I land. No.
The contact.
I'm asking if you ever use it because that's the plug-in.
Yeah. Foot position.
Okay.
Foot contact.
Right, John. Yes, when they jump serve, that's the one thing I have not seen is them try to jump serve from outside the sideline. I've seen teams, serve or have their one foot outside it. But yes, if they jump serve and they leave out and their last contact with the floor was outside of the sidelines, yes, that would be a illegal serve violation. Thanks, John.
And just to clarify for everybody, the server may start outside the hash line marks. They may actually they can start outside. It's where they take off from or where their feet are last in contact with the floor before they actually contact the serve. So there are some players that will start outside the hash marks and run towards the middle of the court as they make their jump serve. And that is okay. That's fine as long as it's where their feet leave the floor.
Right. Thanks, John.
Not where they start, it's where they end.
Right. And that happens a lot too in tight gyms. If you don't have or only have a minimum amount of serving room, like 6 feet between the ball, the wall and the line, a lot of times they will like to curl. They'll kind of do this curl while they'll start outside so that they can get more steps in by doing a curl into the area before they contact the ball. So that happens quite often. Okay. These are examples of illegal serves. Hit the ball illegally, like in some of the examples we just said. Another could be, no, I guess that would be like hit the ball illegally where they're outside the area. Is touching the end line, which we just talked about. They must be behind the end line. Does not contact the ball within 5. You have 5 seconds, not 8. 5 seconds to serve the ball from when you blow the whistle and give the signal. Is wrong server. Okay, is out of serving order or is from the wrong team. Deliberately serves before the first referee is to signal. Normally, if you're getting ready and you have your hand up and you're ready to signal for service and before you blow the whistle, they serve the ball. We're assuming they were not doing it intentionally. We are going to allow them the opportunity to reserve that ball or serve again because you blew for serve. The ball was never put into play. But if you feel that they are doing this deliberately in some way to distract you or distract the other team, you may call that an illegal serve. Okay. Okay, and releases the ball for service and then catches it or drops it to the floor more than once. So that's that. They get the one freebie. Second or third time, illegal serve, or second time, it would be an illegal serve. Okay. Touches the ball, or the ball touches the backboard or supports. That's also considered an illegal serve.
Yeah. Can we go back to deliberately serves before the first referee signal to begin the serve?
Go ahead.
Because according to the rule book, it says it's unsporting conduct.
Right.
So unsporting conduct means and again, the question is, do they get a card too? Are they given a red card for unsporting conduct?
Does it? If you look on my screen right here under E, it says deliberately serve before the first referee signal to begin the serve. unsporting conduct. Yeah, I would say we're going to give them a yellow card in that respect.
And loss of serve too? Loss of serving point?
Yep.
So you're going to do both?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for the clarification. Sorry, let me go back a minute. Okay, a served ball is a service fault and becomes dead when the ball passes under the net, touches one of the server's teammates. We pretty much all know this stuff. Touches the floor on the server's side of the net, crosses the net not entirely between the antennas, so the serve may not go over the top of an antenna. It must be 100% between the two antennas, or if it's anywhere outside, or it touches a ceiling or any obstruction. Those are all service faults, okay? When a receiving team player is out of position on the serve and the ball is served illegally, so here's a situation, we have an out of rotation on the receivers, but the serving team has an illegal serve. You will only penalize the serving team. You are not going to penalize that out of rotation, because in order to have an out of rotation, you need to have a legally served ball. So if the ball is not served legally, that they get away with that out of rotation, and they're actually going to get the point and get theirs. Okay. Obviously, if a serving fault occurs, then it's against the serving team. A service fault occurs. The receiving team is penalized. So what this means is, let me clarify that. If I go back and I serve the ball and I serve it into the antenna or into the net, but the receiving team is out of alignment, then the receiving team will be penalized because it's at the moment. That penalty for out of alignment or out of rotation only occurs at the moment of serve, at the moment of contact. Okay. So
hey, Jeff.
Yes.
Does everybody understand the difference between a service fault and an illegal serve? That's the difference here.
Right.
Okay. So a service fault is if somebody, for example, they serve the ball out of bounds. That's a service fault. If they serve the ball illegally, like there's a foot fault, or they toss it and the ball hits a ceiling or something like that, that is a illegal serve. That's the difference between these, because a service fault means that the ball was legally put into play, and that which case the receiving team would then be penalized for being out of rotation because they were out of rotation at the contact of a legal serve.
Good. Thank you, Tony, for the clarification. Maybe I wasn't being quite clear. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to Rule 9. Any questions on service at this point? All right. During play, all team benches, all non-playing team members shall be seated. Okay, this is no longer the rule for us. We are now allowing players to stand at the end of the bench. So they have to be past the bench, and they have to stay in line with the bench, but they are allowed to stand now at the end of the bench. Also, a player may go behind the bench and start warming up if they are behind the bench and off the playing surface. Okay.
As long as they do not wrap from the inline over towards the exit doors, because they wrap around frequently.
So you're saying if that team curls into the sort of the playing zone more along the wall or something like that, yes, you got to push them back. I would say they have to go in two lines. They cannot wrap into that playing area. They have to stay parallel, I guess, with the bench or in line with the bench. Okay. Okay, as of what we know for now, teams will change sides with each set. So after the home team, remember the home team will determine which side they will start. After that, they will switch sides between sets. That is what we know as the moment. Marianne, don't let me forget to talk about the next meeting and that at the end, okay? Or Kathy, thank you. Okay. Just a
what about the start of the game? Can they shake hands, or we're not doing that?
As of this time, I don't have an answer for you, but we will definitely have one. I have a state rules meeting next week. Next week, I'm going to be meeting with the state. All the instructional chairs for the state are getting together, and I'm sure that's when I will have answers to those type of questions, is after that meeting. So
Hey,
I'm
Jeff,
on all those procedures. Yes.
Really fast. I did talk to Pat as far as the Oxnard tournament. Right now, that, like you said, the state rules interpreter, but right now the school districts, everything is still in place as was left from boys season. So right now it will still be limited benches, distancing, and probably masks.
And
as of right now.
Okay, so and you'll get that you'll get that information.
What'd she say?
Okay.
Sorry, home.
Kaylin, or can you mute your? You came unmuted.
I think that high.
There it goes.
Sorry, what'd you? Oh, sorry.
We're hearing you do dishes.
Oh, sorry about that.
No problem. All right, here we go. All right, where were we? Okay, so again, I'll have those procedural stuff. I'll have a lot more information at the next meeting about procedural issues with things like that. Okay. So live ball, dead ball. Then this is again for purposes of determining certain violations and penalties or fouls. A live ball is in play at the moment the ball is legally contacted by the correct server until a dead ball occurs. Okay. A dead ball is declared by a referee for any decision temporarily suspending play until the ball is legally contacted again. So when you blow your whistle, it's a dead ball. When they contact the next serve, it now is a live ball. Okay. We know all these. Well, I'm not going to go into these. When the ball becomes dead, that's easy. You guys can cover it on your own. Contact the ball, a hitter contact or touch the ball, which is counted as one of the team's 3 allowable plays. Okay, a hit, the difference between contact is a block is considered contact, but not considered a hit. But a hit is counted as one of the 3 allowable contacts. Okay, so you have contact and you have hit. Just know the difference. A hit, again, you count it as one of their 3 touches or one of their 3 contacts, allowable contacts, whereas just contact means a touch, such as on a block. Okay. Okay, the ball is considered to have crossed the net when A, it is passed completely beyond the vertical plane of the net. So once it's passed there, it is considered on the other side. It is partially over the net and is contacted by an opponent. We want to stress this because if it's blocked on a second ball, if the ball breaks the plane or is partially over the net, that is legal. Okay. And it also considered to have crossed the net when no ball has crossed the net and it is legally blocked. We will get into the definition of a legal block in a little while. Okay. You can have a double contact and you can have simultaneous contact. A double contact is in the attempt to play the ball. If it hits off 2 different body parts in one attempt to play the ball, if it's that first contact, we're going to let it go. Okay, simultaneous contact is when 2 separate players on the same team touch the ball at the same instant. Okay, and that is considered hit 1. And then either player, any player on the court may take the next hit. Okay. And then I don't know if I've ever, it's very rare to have a simultaneous contact by 2 players. Okay. When one player contacts the ball 2 more body parts in the same instant is permitted and considered 1 hit. Okay. We just went a joust. For those, a joust is two opponents that cause the ball to come to rest above the net through simultaneous contact, which does happen. You have joust quite often. Joust is not a fault. Play continues. Okay. If the ball falls out of bounds after a joust, it is considered to have gone player on the team. So if team one, or if team A, for example, if the ball falls out of bounds on team A's side of the net, we are considering the ball to have last been touched by team B, because they're the ones that forced it to go out of bounds on the opposite side. Okay. Any questions there? Yeah.
Hey, there's a really easy trick to remember who gets the ball in that situation.
Go ahead, Tony.
And it's we just started using a term, just follow the ball, right? So if the ball falls on the left side, as an R1, if the ball falls on the left side, then the left side wins the point. Does that make sense?
It does.
Because it's the team on the other side that caused it to go out of bounds. So if the ball lands on the right side gets it. If the ball lands on the left side gets it.
Yeah.
Simple.
If it lands in the court, we don't have any. It's a down ball. It's going to go to the other team anyway. So, all right. Okay. Multiple contacts are more than one contact by a player during one attempt to play the ball. Multiple contacts are permitted only when the first ball over the net rebounds from one part of the player's body to one or more other parts in one attempt. Okay, in one attempt to block, or on any first team hit, whether or not the ball is touched by the block. So in other words, if on that first ball over, doesn't matter if it's hard driven, doesn't matter how fast, if it's the first ball over, we're allowing multiple contacts. So that's why we'll often we'll let those hands go, take it. If it's sloppy on that first one, as long as it's not a lift, okay, or prolonged contact, we're gonna let that go because we're considering that multiple contacts on the first hit. Okay, any questions there? And for the first instance, Marianne will be going over that, I'm sure, a lot with you guys in your next meeting.
Right, and as long as it's one attempt to play the ball.
Correct. So, okay. So yeah, so if I hit that first ball over and I pass it, or I make a bad pass and then I kick it with my foot, those are two separate attempts, okay? And so that would be a double, but it was because of two separate attempts. All right. These are going into all different definitions, overhead pass, set, dig, etc. I'm not going to go through those all. I'm going to let you guys go through that. That's, again, easy. I'm just going to highlight this one, that an attack is any action other than a block or serve that directs the ball towards an opponent's court. A team's third hit is always considered an attack, okay? And then and the reason I'm saying this is because on a third hit, if I reach over and stuff and block that ball or stuff that ball completely on my opponent's side of the net, totally legal, okay? If the ball appears to be headed towards my side of the net, and there is no, and we're talking prior to the third hit, so after the first contact, if it's headed towards the net, and no one on the opposing team is there to make a play on the ball, I may also come over and block while that ball is completely on the other side of the net, okay? However, if that ball is headed over towards me, but there's, let's say that setter is still trying to get to it and has a chance to get to it, I may not contact that ball as a blocker until that ball breaks the plane, okay? So, and a completed attack occurs the instant the ball completely crosses. If it's 100%, that's considered a completed attack, or it is legally contacted, which means legally blocked, okay? Again, Spike, all of that, I'm gonna let you guys look at that on your own. A collective block is a block executed by more than one blocker in close proximity. The reason I highlight this is because if two or three players go up to block a ball and one of them touches it, it is considered a collective block. And if it happens to be that one of those players, even though he was not the player who touched the ball, is a back row player or a libero, you now have a back row block. You now have a fault, okay? So a back row player may not participate in a collective block.
Jeff?
Yes.
It's Larry again. My understanding is the libero, regardless if nobody touches the ball, if the libero participates in a blocking attempt, even if their hands don't even get above the net, that's considered a fault. Is that correct?
That is correct. If I would not call it, if they were standing, if the libero's up there and is standing up there and his hands are not higher than the net and he doesn't jump, I'm probably going to let that go, Larry. But if he's there and makes an attempt to block and it reaches above the net, yes, that is a foul or a fault on the libero,
regardless of whether they touch it or not.
Jeff.
Whether they touch it or not. Correct.
Jeff.
Yes.
Jeff, this is Roy.
Go ahead, Roy.
The libero is not a blocker until somebody part is above the top of the net. It doesn't matter if they raise their hands. It doesn't matter if they jump. If they are above the net, then they are a blocker. Then that applies.
Okay.
But make sure that they are above the net. Because they can stand there with their hands raised on the floor. As long as their hands are not above the top of the tape, they are not a blocker.
Okay.
They don't become a blocker until somebody part is up.
All right, I like that. I agree with that. Okay. But what happens if they're standing? Just remember, if they're standing there, even if their hands are raised and the ball is put into them, that's going to be their first. Remember, that's the team's first contact. So now they only have 2 more legal hits available. Okay. Back row players, while positioned behind the attack line, may contact the ball from any position inside or outside the court, above or below the top of the net. This is Article 3. This is important when determining. We need to know their position for back row faults. And now we're talking back row attacks, not back row blocks. But so where that back row player is important. If they're behind that 10-foot line, no foul can occur for a back row attack. If they are touching or in front of that 10-foot line, now we have a possible back row attack. Okay. I'm not going to claim that it is, but we have a possibility. It's one of the factors required for a back row attack. We'll get into that more here. Okay. So a back row player on or in front of the attack line cannot contact the ball completely above the height of the net and complete an attack. So we are talking, you have to now think about a plane that is parallel to the floor. The top of the net makes a plane that is parallel with the floor. If that ball is completely above that plane and is contacted by a back row player and it becomes an attack, okay, you now have a back row attack, okay? It could be a intentional or it can be unintentional. Often with the setter, what will happen? That setter is coming up to set the second ball. They do a jump set. Their hand clearly, and the ball is clearly higher than the net. They attempt to set the ball, but it's not a great set, but the ball floats towards the other court. If that ball now gets legally blocked or completely crosses the plane onto the other court, you now have a back row attack on that setter. Okay, that is the most common back row attack. The second most common back row attack, I would say, is when they're trying to intentionally set a back row player, okay, to get a back row hit by a good spiker from the back row, and they step on that line, on or in front of that line when they jump to attack that ball. Now you have another back row attack. I would say those are your 2 most common. Your setter foul, where your setter is the back row player and mistakenly puts the ball over, either dumps it by mistake or tries to set it and it's a bad set. That's your first one. And then intentionally by a hitter, by an attacker who steps on the line when they're trying to hit that ball. Okay. We talked about a back row player shall not participate in a completed block, attack the ball, which is completely above the height of the net, in front, while on or in front of the attack line, okay, or in the air having left the floor on or in front of the attack line, or its out of bounds extension, Okay, we don't do that in college. They've now extended the 10-foot line. They've put a dashed line that extends that line, so it assists the referee in determining whether that player was behind the attack line if he's off the court. Okay, we don't have that in high school. Okay. Remember, we do not call a back row attack until the ball has completely crossed the net or is contacted by the opponent. Okay, so if you have a back row player who jumps in front, balls clearly above the height of the net or the top of the net, he attacks that ball, but he puts it into the net and it falls to the ground. That is not a back row attack. Okay, that is just going to be a point for the other team because the ball landed on the court. Okay, libero, we have some more restrictions. The libero may not complete an attack from anywhere on the court if the ball is entirely above the height of the net. So that's including the back row. So if the libero jumps to attack a ball, no matter where they are on the court, if that ball is higher than the net and they make a completed attack, then that is a back row attack foul on the libero. Okay. Also, the other restriction for the libero, they shall not set the ball. They should not set the ball using overhead finger action while on or in front of the attack line extended, resulting in a completed attack above the height of the net. A little complicated especially for our newer officials. So what they're saying here, if I'm the libero and I am in front of the 10-foot line, on or in front of the 10-foot line, and I go to set the ball. If I set the ball high enough and one of my players attacks the ball, which is above the height of the net, that's a foul on the libero. They were not allowed to act they're basically acting as a setter. And the purpose of the libero is to act as a defensive specialist. So they are not allowed to act as a setter. So that would be an attack, okay? If the team is smart enough, and I've seen this happen, where the libero sets the ball and the coach or the player notices that the libero is in front of the attack line and they stay on the ground and complete that attack, meaning the ball is not above the height of the net, play on. Okay, seen that happen a lot too, where they're smart enough, when you have good teams, they're smart enough to recognize that that was the player. Most coaches tell their libero if it's going to be tight, meaning near the attack line, if they're because a lot of times they'll use their libero as their second setter. If the setter can't get to the ball, the libero will take it. They will bump set. So normally if they bump set the ball, no problem. Anybody can attack that ball anywhere, regardless of height. Okay, if it's a bump set. If it's with my fingers and they attack that ball and I'm in front, has to be below the height of the net.
Jeff, 1 foot behind the 10-foot line, 1 foot in the air, completing a set to have an outside hitter strike above the height of the net. Legal or illegal?
Excellent question. That is legal. If I come up, and I've seen this happen, if I'm close to the 10-foot line and I raise my right foot and my left foot is legal behind the 10-foot line and I set it off of 1 foot, legal, not a problem. Okay, doesn't matter what happens after that. Okay. So other way around, if my back foot was up, obviously my front foot would be touching. So yes, great question, Alyssa. Thank you.
And then I have a second one, sorry. Officials that have been doing this a long time, how often are you calling a back row attack on a libero?
I'll call it a few times a season for sure. It's not a common thing, but it definitely, I've seen it several times, and probably in club you'll see it a lot more just because you're getting more opportunities to see it.
Alyssa, are you asking about a libero attacking?
No,
or are you talking about a libero hand setting?
Setting the ball.
It was a two-part question, sorry. One was the setting, one was an attack. Just wanted to hear how often from, I don't know, C2, C1, C3, how often are you calling a back row attack on a libero attacking behind the 10-foot line?
You mean where the libero is hitting the ball from behind the 10-foot line?
Complete an attack from anywhere behind the 10-foot line. How often is that called?
I'll usually call that. I'll get that call a couple times a year, 2 to 3 times a year as well.
Is that a taller libero, or is that? I mean, how are you?
Or
one
that can
really
jump.
Having to see that ball above the height of the net, correct?
It is. It's a hard call, believe me, everybody. That is one of the hardest calls, I think. Maybe Tony can talk about this in a second, but to me, that is one of the hardest calls to make, is to figure out when the libero is, 15 feet off the net, jumps and overhands attacks that ball, to determine whether that ball was higher than the net is very difficult. What I do is I look at the flight of the ball. If the ball is flat or on a slight downward trajectory and clears the net, then there's a good possibility they were above the height of the net. If it's obviously, if it has an arc, then I'll say, no, the ball was not above the height of the net. That's my determination. Tony, you have any guidelines for that?
No, that's Jeff. I agree with what you said, Jeff. Those are good indicators of what you've seen. One of the things that we do recommend, watch warmups, because a lot of times, liberos sometimes like to hit, and you can find out if they have the ability to get behind the net during warmups. They'll try and hit a ball, so you can get an idea of how they're jumping. And quite honestly, if you've got a 5'2" libero, even if they jump, really well, the chances of them being above the height of the net when they contact the ball is probably slimmer than if you've got a 5'9", 5'10" libero who's doing the same thing.
Those are good questions, Alyssa. Okay. All right, moving on. Okay, this is just a center line fault. Just remember, for center line faults, a foot or a hand that is partially on the line and partially over, we let play continue. Okay. Any other body part, elbow, knee, anything like that contacts on the others across the center line on the opposite floor is going to be a center line violation. And we're going to call that. But remember, luckily now, it now stops at the sideline. So if I contact if I contact outside of the court between the sideline and the pole, and my foot goes completely across the other side, no, we do not have a foul. They must be between the sidelines in order to call that center line fault. Okay. Player cannot contact the ball, which is complete. This is net play we're into now. Cannot contact the ball, which is completely on the opponent's side of the net, unless the contact is a legal block. So what that means is your middle blockers, if let's say the setter sets the ball and it's close to but not penetrating the plane on that, when they set the ball to their outside and that middle blocker or anybody on the other opposite team touches that ball, okay, you now have a over. Okay, it's this call, you now have an over on that defensive team. Okay, that team that just touched the ball. Okay, if that ball breaks the plane, you're fine, not a problem. But if the ball is 100% on their side, also, a ball may not be attacked at any time if it is still on the opponent's side of the net. Even if it's the third hit, they may block that ball legally, but they may not attack that ball until it crosses the plane of the net. All right. Questions on that? You? Okay.
I'm sorry, Jeff.
Go
so
ahead.
a block, when the girls lean, put their hands over the net on the third try, that's not considered an attack. It would be a block.
Correct. If you can see me here, if I'm just going like this, if I'm not swinging, that is considered a block, okay? But if the ball's coming and I give a full-on swing, and I'm able to do it without contacting the net, of course, if that ball is 100%, that is considered an attack, okay? And then that would be illegal, okay?
So if the two arms go down as
kind of like
correct,
that,
correct.
Yeah.
What's that?
I'm gonna give that a block. I'm gonna err more on the side of that being a block than an attack. And you got the same issue as if you do this, if you could see me, if I'm turning, if I grab the ball and deflect it a different direction, I change the direction of that ball. Some people could argue, well, they're attacking that ball because they're not blocking it. They're attacking because they made it go a different direction. But to me, that's still a block. I'm going to give them the doubt, okay, that they're blocking, not attacking.
And that also becomes an issue. A lot of times people will say with a one-hand block, right? So if I go up with two and then all of a sudden I pull one hand down and I'm only using one hand, I can still block the ball with one hand and break my wrist and push it down. That's still considered a block, okay? Just because it's with one hand and not two, it can still be a block. You have to judge if the player, what we call loaded, did they pull their arm back, right? Okay, that's generally at the collegiate level, that's what we're looking for, is what they call loading the arm. They load the elbow where it comes back and then they go forward to take a swing. But if I'm blocking and then just put one hand up and tip it down, we're letting that go. But if they take a swing and they load that arm like they're going to hit like it would, the ball was coming from their own team and the ball has not broken the plane and they hit it on the other side, that will be a fault.
And open and closed hand can also give you a little indication if I'm kind of like punching the ball, if I comes up and I do this, right, close my fist and try and punch that ball down, and it's completely on their side of the net, you could consider that an attack. Okay. Net fault occurs when a player contacts any part of the net, including the cables or antennas, okay? It is not a fault when a player's loose hair touches, so if her ponytail touches, we're letting that go. But if any other body part touches the net, the cables, or the antenna in high school, it is a net fault, okay? In other levels of play, if they were not trying to play the ball and they contact the net, you could let that go, okay? Not at the high school level. A net is a net in high school. Anything that touches is considered a net by them. If they touch the stand or the cables, or the standards, then if they don't gain an advantage, we're not going to call that a net. We're going to let them play on unless there is a danger, unless it's a particularly hard contact and there's some danger involved, okay? I'm going to let you go through the faults and the doubles and the multiples. You guys can read those on your own. Okay. All right, replays. A replay is the act of putting the ball in play without awarding a loss of rally and point and without a rotation for a serve. A replay, there are lots of reasons we can have a replay. Inadvertent whistle, double whistle. A double whistle occurs on the serve, so if you accidentally blow your whistle twice, that would be something they get confused. You can do a replay. Horn goes off, could be during play, that could be a replay. Double fault during a live ball. Conflicting calls by referees. If you have two calls and you think they happen either simultaneously or you can't decide, you can issue a replay. Players of different efforts to legally play the ball is affected by a non-team member anywhere in a playable area. So a non-team spectator gets in the way of a player playing a ball, that would be a replay. This we don't happen. Wall curtain serving as a wall, floor, obstacle, or non-playable area within 6 feet of the court. We don't usually do this very much. There aren't too many places that don't have at least 6 feet of clearance around the court. They're saying if it's an object that's only a couple of feet over 6 feet and it interferes with play, you could direct a replay there. Okay? Ball becoming motionless in the net or net antennas, or more likely like an overhead goes up into the rafters and it gets stuck in the air conditioning unit, that would be a replayable ball, assuming they had a hit, was not the third hit. Foreign objects entering the playing area. Had this happen a couple of times. Young kids in the stand, they're playing with a Super Bowl ball or something, and that ball ends up on the court. That would be a replay. A player gets injured before the conclusion of the point or the rally, then that could be a replay. We've talked about this, a ball that contacts a vertical hanging backboard or support, and there was a player there to make a play on the ball, we would replay that. And again, a replay is considered to be part of a single play action. Once a replay is signaled, no request for timeout, serve, order, lineup, substitutions, libero placement, etc., may be recognized until after the replay. So if you have a replay, they can substitute, do anything like that. No liberos, no substitutes, no timeouts. Okay. Okay. Unnecessary delays. This talks about the new rule about that you have a late unnecessary delay yellow card there. Okay, this all talks. That's all new stuff.
I have a question regarding the backboards. Namely,
go ahead.
I'm trying to think. Agora, probably Royal, and maybe See Me. I can't remember. Their backboards swing sideways. They're vertical, but they were vertical, and they try and swing them up. As the ball goes zipping at the backboards, are those classified?
Is that backboard pretty much flush with the wall there, Jerry, when it swings that way?
It's usually about 10, I'm only guessing, maybe 5 feet at one school, 10 or 15 feet, and at the other two schools over in See Me, because those schools will probably all build about the same time.
Okay, if it's flush with the wall, I'm going to say within a foot, you can call that as part of the wall and you don't replay. If it's more than that and they could have made a legitimate effort, if it's sticking out a couple of feet, and I understand what you're saying is that it swings this way, it doesn't raise or anything else, it's moved, but still in that vertical position, I would declare that a replay. That's how I would do it. I would declare that a replay. That's something you need to go over in your ground rules prior to the game. You're going to have to address that. Okay, I haven't worked those schools enough to really know what exactly they look like, so I'm just sort of taking a stab in the dark at how I would do it. Okay.
Thank you.
Substitution requests. So a request for substitute can be made two different ways. One, it can be made by verbal request by the coach, sub before anybody has gotten up there. Or the second way, which is what most happens now most of the time, is that when that player substitute comes into the substitution zone, that constitutes a request for a substitute. Okay. So if that player comes into the zone and you blow your whistle to issue a sub, that is now considered a substitution request. If the coach goes, no, I didn't want that, and pulls that player back after you've identified that request because they've entered the substitution zone, you now have a delay of game. So they can either leave the sub and avoid the delay, or they can pull them back and get a delay of game. Okay. You can only have one request for substitution during the same dead ball. So, but you can have multiple. That doesn't mean, so if you have a substitute, you can have 3 substitutes go in as long as they all come up at the same time, stay outside. We'll go through that procedure later. Stay outside the substitution zone. Sub 1 goes, next one steps in, sub 2 goes, next one steps in, sub 3 goes, all one right after the other. That's fine. What you may not do is Team A requests a substitute. You honor the substitute for Team A. Team B also has a substitute. You now go over and do the substitute for Team B. Now you come back and Team A has another substitute waiting to enter the game. Because they did not come up at the same time, you are not going to allow that second substitute. Okay. Same thing in a timeout situation. Okay. If you have a timeout and let's say you made a substitute prior to the timeout, coach calls, you do a substitute, coach calls timeout. At the conclusion of the timeout, the coach of the same team wants to substitute again, not allowed. Okay. One time during the same, they have to do one request during the same dead ball period. Okay. All right. You may do a substitute prior to the start of the set. Nothing to do. Let's say, we went through all the illegal numbers and that if there was a missing number, you could do a substitute. But let's say the coach just puts his lineup in and decides, no, I don't want that player to start. I'm going to start somebody else. Then they may request a substitution prior to the game or the set beginning. Questions there?
Could you obviously have a phantom sub? They wrote down the wrong number from the roster and put it in their numerical list. Could you have a phantom sub?
To get a phantom sub, you mean if they purposely put a phantom number in there, Jerry? Is that what you're asking?
A mistake that was made by the coach.
No, we addressed that in the beginning. If there's a phantom number, you use a substitution to put a legal player in there.
Good, thank you.
Okay, and then we talked about that at the beginning of this. Okay. Okay, remember the substitutions are supposed to stay in the zone until you release them. Okay, so that's so they don't just run on, and the reason we do that is so we prevent the scorekeeper from not recording the substitute. We want to make sure the scorekeeper can record the substitute. So that's why they stay there until you tell them it's okay to go. And during a timeout, they need to enter after the timeout is completed. You're going to go through the same normal substitution procedure, but you're going to do it after everybody's back on the court and the timeout has concluded. Okay. Remember, an administrative yellow card for the first offense or administrative red card for subsequent offenses in that set is charged to the offending team when you have a delay. This is what we talked about. Denied is denied by the second referee after a request has been recognized. Yada, yada, you can read all the rest of this. But just remember, an administrative yellow card, we're not making the coach lose his ability to stand. Okay. A re-entering player shall not return to the set during the same dead ball in which the player was substituted. So if player 6 comes out of the game, substituted by player 9, and there's a timeout, the coach may not put player 6 back in the game before there is at least one legal serve. Okay. Okay, libero and the libero replacement, just be sure that the player replacing the libero is the same one who the libero just replaced. So if they want a different player in the front row who the libero replaced, the original player must go in and then they must substitute for that original player to get the other player. They can't just put the player that they want into the game in place of the libero. Does that make sense? So, and only one libero replacement per dead ball, unless the libero is the next serve, going to be the next server. Okay, if the libero is injured and cannot continue play, the libero shall first be replaced by the player whom the libero replaced, who went in, and then a new libero may then be redesignated using the following criteria. Sorry, I jumped here. Okay, so any substitute may be designated to replace an injured libero. The injured libero, however, may not play for the remainder of that set. And the redesignated player has to wear a libero uniform. They cannot be redesignated if they do not have a alternate uniform. All right, I think that's it. Okay. All right. I am going to, yeah. All right, I'm going to stop there. We have, let me stop my share. Sorry. All right. Any questions about instruction? I was going to get to some videos, but I'll save those for the next time. Any questions about instruction before I move on to another topic?
Hey, this has to do with the test. Jeff, did you get my email? This is Chris.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember. What's the question?
I took the test 4 times, and all 4 times I scored 104. And, they knocked me out on question number 104. So I changed it every time, and every time it said no, it's wrong, wrong, wrong. And
right, I'll take care of Chris. We'll talk about that. I'll get in touch with you personally.
It has to do with yellow card conduct. What do you do with the coach?
Okay, and that could have been all right. I'll look at it. And I'll get you an answer.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Yep. Right, any other questions?
Hey Jeff, one other thing. You mentioned last closed-toe shoes with players. With the girls' season coming up, are the girls allowed to be off the playing court, but behind the line, shagging balls with like flip-flops or in their socks or open-toed shoes, or not at all on the wooden floor?
I'm going to say if they are in a playable area, they are not allowed to be without proper footwear.
So that could be on the court or off the court?
On the court, definitely. Off the court, if they're in their flip-flops running to shag balls and they're behind the end line, I still would not. Me personally, I would say they require them to have shoes on, closed-toed shoes.
Girls wear Crocs.
Crocs, I'm going to leave Crocs up to you guys.
As long as they have the strap on the back of their foot and it's not something they can slide in and out of.
I would probably I'm with Marianne. I would probably let Crocs go.
Right.
Okay. Slides, however, I would not, if you guys know the difference for slides. Okay. Slides are a definite no. Flip-flops are no. But Crocs, I would agree with. I would say I wouldn't push it. Okay. All right, guys. Okay. So we need to talk about next week. We have a little bit of an issue. Next Wednesday at the exact time of our meeting is my state rules interpreter meeting. Also, we have problems with Tony and Robert and others cannot be available to take over in my stead for various reasons, scheduling reasons. So we would like to move the meeting that is scheduled for the 21st. We would like to move it to August 4th. Okay. Is there a large number that could not do Wednesday, August 4th? Yeah, Mike. Or Larry. You have Mike on your name. Unmute, Larry. Unmute, Larry.
Jeff, I have a trade show that day.
You do, Richard?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's with you on the 4th?
That's my son. I'm on his laptop. I will be most likely on the road that day.
Okay, so we got 2 that are no good there. Anyone else?
I'm on the road that day too.
Who is that?
Lou Mages.
Lou. Okay, so we're up to 3. All right. Okay, let's do this. Okay, let the board talk. The board's going to have a talk. I'm going to say we are most likely going to move it to the 4th, and we will make arrangements for the 3 of you guys that cannot attend. We will come up with an alternative solution for you guys. Okay. But I think we are going to move that to August 4th. So we will not have a meeting next Wednesday. You can take that off your calendar. I will send out emails on this. And we will move our 3rd and final Zoom meeting to Wednesday, August 4th, 6 to 8 p.m.
Karen's also not available.
Okay. I got that from Karen. Okay. All right. Good. All right.
We'll just take those people on the court. See you guys on the court.
Yeah, that'd be great. All 3 of them. All of you guys are they're veterans. That would be great. Some extra court time, which you'd probably enjoy better than sitting here listening to me babble. So, all right. Any other questions at this point for anyone? Marianne, myself, Kathy, Tony.
Really fast, Jeff. I have Lou Mages, Larry Coleman, Karen Hotchkiss. Who was the 4th one?
Richard.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And you got Larry?
Yep. And you have Mike Bernardi also.
Okay.
All right. John, did you have a question?
Yeah, it's actually a reference to what I just watched the video to do the makeup from the first one a couple days ago.
Right.
And unless I'm mistaken, Marianne said that the schools weren't going to have any masks, that the kids weren't going to have to wear them, we weren't going to have to wear them, but it was going to be up to the school. And now, of course, we just got contrary information from Kathy.
That's about these summer tournaments. That's because that's preseason and decisions haven't been made about the season.
Oh, Kathy was talking solely about the preseason?
we're talking solely about those preseason tournaments.
Oh, okay. My apologies.
We're not talking about the regular season. And again, hopefully after my state interpreter meeting next week, I will have a much clearer picture for everybody about what's going to be happening. Okay.
So for all the preseason, we will be required to wear masks.
Just make sure you have a mask. You're going to do whatever that tournament decides is how we're going to do it. If the tournament decides they want to go without masks, you'll do it without masks, or have the option to. If they require masks, then you're going to have to wear a mask.
And that'll solely be on the administration of the school providing or giving.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. Anything else?
Yes.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Regarding my wonderful issues with those wonderful things that we have to watch on video, can we chat tomorrow or do?
Yeah, let's talk tomorrow, Jerry. That'd be a good plan. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. I look forward to working with as many of you as possible this next season. So we will move forward from there. Feel free to text, email me or Marianne or Kathy or any of us or Tony, any of us that you need if you have specific questions for us. All right.
And don't forget to log into the website tonight, please. Complete your independent contractor and your availability.
All right. Thanks, Kathy.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, guys. See you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.